Hello detectives, and welcome to a specially spooky October update video. I have my pumpkin, I have my pumpkin fingernails, and I have my little owl, and I am ready for Halloween. This month, as usual, I'm going to be talking about 5 books that I particularly enjoyed reading, but because this is October and because it's almost Halloween, they will have a specially spooky twist. Now, if you haven't already, remember to go sign up to my newsletter on my website, robin-stevens.co.uk. Every month I send you special information and exclusive updates, and this month I'll let you know how to dress like Daisy and Hazel for a Halloween party and how to host your own murder mystery party. And the first book I've chosen is Amelia Fang and the Barbaric Ball by Laura Ellen Anderson. This book, obviously, is very perfect for Halloween. It is beautifully foiled, all gold, it has a lovely orange spine, and it stars Amelia Fang, a little vampire, and her pet pumpkin, Squashy. Amelia and Squashy live in Nocturnia, and Amelia's parents host the biggest ball of the year, the Barbaric Ball. Amelia absolutely hates it and will do anything to get out of it. But one day, a new person turns up in Nocturnia, a very spoilt prince who steals Squashy from Amelia. So Amelia and her other friends have to work together to get Squashy back and stop the evil prince. This book was so much fun to read. It's very funny. It's full of really clever jokes and puns. And it's also beautifully illustrated by Laura, who draws it as well as writes it. You may know Laura from her illustration. She's drawn Witch Wars. She's just updated the famous 5. She has beautiful illustration style, and in this book she really gets to show what she can do. I had a great time reading this. You will too if you love slightly spooky stories that are still a bit fun, if you like adventure stories and stories of friendship and really beautifully illustrated books. I would say that this book is for anyone 6+. Now the next book I've chosen is also a bit spooky, but it's less of a vampire story than a bit of science fiction. It is Polly Ho Yen's Boy in the Tower, and this is not a new book, but it is a book that I just love. I really can't stop talking about it, and I bring it up whenever anyone says they want a story that's quite scary and really exciting, and I mention this book. I think it's perfect for Halloween if you like a slightly different sort of scare than ghosts and ghouls. Boy in Tower is set in a London tower block. Aid and his mum live on the top floor and their life is pretty difficult. And then one day it gets even worse because suddenly the whole of London is filled with these huge plants. They surround all of the towers, and then one by one all of the other towers around Aid start falling down. Aid has to work out what is going on and how to stop these plants before he and his mum are killed. It is an incredibly exciting book. It's so tense. It is so well written. I could not put it down. And I think if you like a bit of a thrill, a bit of a scare, a bit of a fantasy story, you will really, really enjoy this book. If you're a bit older and you know about John Wyndham, this kind of reads like John Wyndham's books. But if you don't know John Wyndham yet, this is a great book to read, and then you can move on and read him, and I think you will love them both. This book, I would say, is for about 8-10+. The next book I'm going to talk about is new, but I have the feeling it's going to be around for a long time, and it's already got a lot of people very excited. It is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. Now, a lot of books get compared to Harry Potter, and I really hate it when they get compared to Harry Potter because Harry Potter is its own wonderful book, and so are all of those other books. But if there is one book I have read since Harry Potter was published that gave me the same kind of feelings, that gave me the same kind of excitement, that has the same kind of friendship and magical world and excitement, it is this book. I really think it's one of the best children's books I have read for a lot of years, and that really is saying something. As you can see, I have put my name on the front cover. I've given it a quote because I love it so incredibly much, and I really, really know that you will too. Morrigan Crow is cursed. Everywhere she goes, terrible things happen. People break their legs, animals die, birds fall out of the sky, and there is a terrible prophecy about her that says that she will die on her 11th birthday. Her family have even started planning for it, which is pretty upsetting to Morrigan. But very luckily, her death is put on hold when a man called Jupiter pops up and whisks her off into a different realm, into the magical world of Nevermore. Jupiter lives in the Deucalion Hotel, which is a place that I think you're going to fall in love with. It's always changing and moving around. It has a chandelier that grows and changes all the time. It's got different rooms that give different smells and have different things happen in them. It is the most incredible creation. And Jupiter takes Morgan to Nevermore because he wants to get her into this secret society called the Wondrous Society. And to do that, she has to compete against a lot of other children in 3 exciting trials to see if she really is the right person to be inducted into the Wondrous Society. I mean, this book sounds fantastic, I hope, and it really is that good and way better. I can't even describe how great this is. The magic in this is wonderful. All of Jess's creations are so clever. This book has only been out for a couple of days, but it has already got a movie deal. There will be a movie of it, and I can't wait to see it. I know you will love this book if you like Harry Potter, if you like magic and witchcraft, if you've ever imagined being a bit different and traveling to another world where you really are appreciated for all of the amazing things you can do. That is what this book is, and I know you'll fall in love with it. I would say this book is for anyone 10 plus, but as with all my recommendations, that really is just the lower age limit. There is not an upper limit for the age you can be when you read this book. I think adults should read it too, and I know that they will really enjoy it. The next book I'm going to talk about is for slightly older readers, but it is no less magical and exciting. It is Frances Hardinge's A Skinful of Shadows. Now, you will probably have heard of Frances Hardinge. She wrote a book called The Lie Tree that won the Costa Award last year. She is a fantastically talented writer. This book is set just before the English Civil War in the 1700s, and it stars a girl called Makepeace. She has been brought up by a group of Puritans, but when her mother dies, she is sent to live with her extremely royalist family in an extremely large, posh mansion in the countryside. It doesn't take long for Makepeace to realize there's something a bit wrong with her relatives. They talk about having an ancient secret handed down from generation to generation. But Makepeace also has a secret, and that is that she's always been able to hear ghosts. And I won't say any more than that about the plot because it is extremely surprising. I loved all the twists and turns, and I think it's best if you are shocked along with Makepeace when all these things happen to her. But basically, this book kind of traces the beginning of the Civil War through Makepeace. She keeps popping up in all these situations that turn out to be quite important. It's beautifully written. It's so clever. It's so thoughtful, and Frances is the most fantastic writer. You will like it too if you like historical fiction, if you like ghost stories that really are quite creepy. I would say that this is a book for slightly older readers. I would say this is a book for about 14 plus, but definitely one that adults can and should read. And finally, on to my classic pick for the month. And I nearly went with Agatha Christie's Halloween Party. You probably thought that was what I was going to choose, but I realized there's another book that I think has been even more important to me, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I am obsessed with vampires. I love them, and the type of vampire that I love is the type of vampire in Dracula. I still think this is one of the best vampire books ever, and this is what I believe that vampires really are. I love reading about vampires that can go out in the day. I love reading about vampires that really are powerful, and it's really hard to stop them, and that is because those authors are drawing on the tradition that Bram Stoker basically created. This is a book that I first read when I was about 13 years old, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. It's set in the late Victorian era. It's got lots of people writing each other letters in a very sort of posh and mannered way, but beneath the sort of poshness and politeness of the letters, something really terrible is going on. A vampire called Dracula is trying to invade England. It is really excitingly written. It is so much fun. I really can't emphasize too much how fun and how silly and how exciting this book is. When I picked this book up, I sort of thought that classics were boring. I thought that adult books were boring, but this is one of the books, along with Jane Eyre, that proved to me that adult books are awesome. Not quite as awesome as children's books, but pretty great. Mina Harker in this book is honestly one of my favorite characters in the whole world. I love her so much, and I think you'll see why if you read this book, why I love her so very much. If you love danger and intrigue, if you love mystery stories, if you love slightly old-fashioned books, because this book is old-fashioned and it does feel old-fashioned, but that really isn't a problem, and I think you'll enjoy it anyway. Even though in Hazel and Daisy's world there aren't ghosts, although Hazel thinks there might be, I was very influenced by this book in writing my books, because this book is really a mystery, even though it's a supernatural one. You don't want to be much younger than 12 when you read this book, I think, because it's quite fat. It's got quite close text and it's full of grown-ups kind of complaining at each other. But I think that if you are the right age when you read this book, you will get a whole lot out of it, and I hope you'll fall in love with it and stay in love with it for your whole life, just the way I have done. So that is my video for October. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're even more excited about Halloween now. I know I am. I cannot wait. So check back in next month for more updates, for more book recommendations, and to hear more about what I am doing. But until then, happy Halloween.